Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christian. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, good day. Wherever you are, whenever you're seeing this, I hope you are good. So guys, today we are going to be talking about how to launch your business in 10 steps. This is going to be very realistic advice. This is going to be a solid plan that you can follow if you want to follow it, if you want to be a business owner, or if you just want to hear, some tips of things that you could just be thinking about if you're considering opening a business. This is going to be the video for you, okay? So we're going to get right into it. As always, if you guys want to connect with me, shop with me, book with me, work with me, check down below in the description box. The Fruitful You group business mentorship is coming back very, very soon. It's going to be starting in September. I'm going to be having the tickets available for you guys next month. So I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be awesome. I really, really, really love the career group mentorship, and I hope that it's something that I continue to do twice a year. So if you ended up missing the first one, stay tuned. Fruitful You is going to be coming back very, very soon. So of course I had to come for the business girls, the business guys, the business folks, and get into it. For those who are trying to manifest different things in business, or for those who want to launch their own businesses. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, first things first, before we get into any advice, I think it's important to remember that no one is going to succeed exactly like someone else. I think that a lot of times we're able to break a lot of boundaries, break a lot of barriers, do a lot of amazing, great things. But that does not mean that just because you buy an ebook from someone that made 6 figures in 6 months, or $1 million in a day, or 10,000 in their first month, that does not mean that you're going to do it as well. I think the biggest issue that we have in launching our own business is that we think that it's something that we think that there's like a guideline to launching your business. And I'm sure that's why y'all watch this video, right? To get the step-by-step. Now, I'm going to give you the step-by-step, but it's not all get the LLC, get the business contract, open up the building, do this. It's a lot of things that go on mentally when you're trying to open a business, financially that's going on for you. So we're going to be getting into the real, and what you can expect when you are trying to launch your business, and how you can kind of prepare for that. But yes, please, please, please look to be a business owner because you want to be a business owner, not because you feel like corporate America isn't working for you anymore. Corporate America isn't supposed to work for anybody. Corporate America is just there if you need it to be there. If you need a job, you can get one. If you want to do your own thing, you can do that. But if you need a job, it's there. That's really what it is. So I don't think that there's any shame in being an entrepreneur on the side. I don't think somebody that does what they do full time is better than someone that does it part time, or even once a month or twice a month, whatever. I think that doing something that you're passionate about is important, whether it's just a hobby, whether you open a business in it, whatever. I think doing something that you're passionate about and that you love is very, very, very important. So however you add it in. Don't feel like it has to make a certain amount of money. Don't feel like it has to, be shipped to a certain amount of countries. Don't feel like you have to break certain barriers or certain milestones. You're going to create the boundaries for yourself. You create the milestones that you set for yourself. When you ship something internationally for the first time, that's going to be your milestone, even though everybody's been doing it forever. But that's your first time doing that. We can't be looking to expect the success of someone else, and we can't be comparing our journey to anybody else's success. It is not easy to be a business owner. Do not think that it's going to be easy. It's going to be frustrating. You might want to quit. You might want to give up. You might want to say, this isn't for me. You might feel all of those things and then some, but it's normal. It's normal, okay? And these aren't even the steps yet. I just wanted to give anybody that's stepping into it the real of it, And I think I've learned and seen more of just how harsh it is to be a business owner. Being a business owner hasn't necessarily been easy for me at all. It hasn't been easy, but this is kind of something that I've always done. So I'm just used to the hard labor of not knowing where your money is coming from, not necessarily posting things and then not really doing well, even though you put a lot of work and money into it. I'm just kind of, I don't feel the same way about disappointment and failure. I'm able to kind of fail and then just be like, okay, what's next? And I think that that's something that makes all business owners stop. You hit the failure, nobody's watching the videos, nobody's buying the stuff, you feel like it's not working, you're losing your motivation, you're thinking you can't do it, you're listening to your anxiety, you're listening to your doubt, and then you stop. The only difference between you and everybody else that's doing it is that they're continuing to move forward. It doesn't mean that they're rich now. They may not be, they may still be broke. They may still be confused, but they're still on the journey. They're still trying to figure it out. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Now, granted, you have the ability to stop when you want to, put it on the back burner when you want to, and there's no shame in that either. But don't run away from what you're wanting to do. If you want to take a break, be intentional in your break. Don't let fear or anxiety or doubt stop you from doing it. If you have a logical reason to take a break, then take a break. Get your funds up, get your mind right, do what you need to do, take a break. But don't be afraid or don't be scared out of your blessing. Don't be scared out of stepping into something new. So that's the precursor. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Launch your business in 10 steps. The first step is to pray and plan, okay? Ask yourself if you're ready. Talk to God about what you're trying to do. And just think about what it is that you really want. Spend some time really, really thinking about what it is that you want. Ask yourself, am I okay not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks? Do I need to have some money in my savings, X amount of dollars in my savings before I'm comfortable doing this? Do I have people that I know would support me? Do I need to reach out and network? Am I comfortable in networking? If I'm not, then what's blocking me from networking? Am I very, very creative? Do I need someone to do my graphics for me? How much is that going to cost? Do I need someone to do all of my legal work? How much is that going to cost? Am I willing to maybe go back to school and do business management or take some classes or read some books or whatever? How am I going to get the knowledge that I need? What am I going to do when I run into a rough patch? The first thing to do is pray and plan. I think that whatever you confront in your business is obviously things that you've been confronting in your everyday life. So if you deal with insecurity, if you deal with fear, if you deal with the fear of poverty, if you deal with social anxiety, if you deal with issues putting yourself out there or, going for something higher or the fear of failure or whatever, that is still going to pop up, if not times 10 in the business, because now there's money on the line and your future is on the line and your purpose is on the line. So pray and plan is the first thing. Just because you like something, just because you're good at something, just because you're interested in something does not mean that it needs to be what you go into business for. And I've switched up, what I've done. I was a hairstylist for a few years. Then I started on YouTube, and I was on YouTube while I was in cosmetology school. So I was doing hair and YouTube at the same time. I always, had an Instagram where me and my friends would go out, do looks, get pics. I've literally been going out with my friends and Pixar didn't happen since I don't know, maybe 2016, 2017. Every time we go out, we have to do a look. What are you wearing? Who needs to be styled? Who's going to do the hair? We're doing looks. We're taking pics. We're getting into it. We're thinking about the captions. We're making sure the vibes go right. Me and my friends have always taken Instagram very, very seriously, honey. Always. Even in college, we took it seriously. So I've always just it just flowed in with each other very, very, very well. And then whenever the pandemic hit, of course, I wasn't doing hair anymore. I was already stepping into spiritual / metaphysical knowledge and things like that around 2018. I read Sacred Woman, and that was kind of my introduction to all things spiritual. So I say that to say there's going to be so many different things that you step into. There's going to be so many different spaces that you get into, and you have to be willing to be flexible. You have to be willing to be flexible. If I would have said, if I can't be a hairstylist, I have to go back and get a job, I would have never been able to do this. I would have never been able to do this because a lot of the healing work that I was sharing was just stuff that I was just going through. I had to be in that place where I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I don't even think getting a real job was an option. I was just like, I guess I'm just going to dedicate myself to my YouTube channel and see if that works. But I didn't have to do that. I could have went and got a job then, and maybe I would have never, done this, or maybe it would have taken me longer. That's what a lot of people do. They try the first thing, it doesn't work. They're like, girl, screw this. And I don't blame you. Because it's hard, honey, and it's not for everybody. So you don't have to be a business owner. Like I said, it doesn't have to be your full time, but take that time to pray and ask about it. Most people, you don't even need the other steps. You're going to pray and plan, and you're going to realize this ain't for me, because it's not for everybody. It's not. It's just not for everybody. So pray and plan. Figure out what you need to do. If there's healing work that you need to do, get into it. If there's research that you need to do, get into it. But know what you can about the process. The second one, commit to a starting point. What can you do right now? If you know you don't have the money to go back to school, what's your starting point right now? If you know you don't have the money for the equipment, what's your starting point? If you know that you don't have the support, or you know that you really need to move somewhere else to be closer to the epicenter of the industry, and you're really wanting to get to that point, but you don't have it right now, what can you start doing right now to get into that? Let's say you're from a very small town and you're wanting to move to Atlanta to maybe start, doing influencer work or whatever, or even if you're a hairstylist or what have you, if you're moving to different spaces because you're like, okay, this is going to be, more suited for this area or more suited for that area. If you can't get in that area right now, start posting about your work and tagging those places. Start using those places as a location so people from there can start to kind of see what you're doing, so you can kind of get the buzz going and see the vibe and kind of get in the rooms without being in the rooms. That's something that you could do right now. Starting social media platforms is free. So if you ain't got nothing, you got internet, and I know you got internet because you're watching this. Okay, you got internet somewhere. If you're on somebody's Wi-Fi, you got internet somewhere. So it's free to create a social media platform. It's free to create a lot of different things, digitally and sell them. But it's free to create content. It's free. So that can be something that you commit to doing. Like, okay, I don't have X amount of money for this, but what I can do right now while I'm working whatever other job I need to save and budget for my investment that I'm going to make into my business, I can make sure that I'm posting on my social media accounts 4 times a week, because at least then you can start to build up traction. You can find a community. You can find engagement. And I think that's very, very, very important. When you are out the gate trying to start your business and you're trying to sell something, it's obviously going to be a little discouraging, right? Because you're starting off, nobody even knows who you are, and you're trying to sell something. It's going to take some minutes to get some traction. But think about if you just started your business like, hey guys, this is what I like, and you weren't even trying to sell anything. You were just talking about what you liked. You would enjoy it so much more because you wouldn't be waiting on those sales to come in. So sometimes it even is a little bit better to focus on, the social media first, the content first, how you want to present it to the world first. Because once you put a price tag on it, it's going to change how you feel about it. And then you're going to have to work through that to make sure that you just do what you love to do. And that's something that I've had to, work on, because when you start getting a price tag, you're like, okay, I need to post even more. I need to do even more. And then you get burnt out and you're like, do I even want to do this anymore? So it's a learning journey, of course, but commit to a point where you can start. Find something that you can do right now. That's point 2. Point 3, create social media platforms and websites. So I guess, those two kind of go in together. So figure out where you want to start, then social media platforms and websites. So you can use whatever social media platforms that you want to. If you want to use TikTok, I don't even know. I hope we still are able to keep TikTok, but if we're not, I would say just make sure that isn't your only thing. But any social medias that you want to have for your brand. So if you want to do TikTok, if you want to do YouTube, if you want to do Etsy, if you want to do Poshmark, if you want to do Pinterest, if you want to do Instagram, if you want to do Twitter or X, if you want to do Twitch, you really can use whatever platforms you want to. It's just based off of what you enjoy naturally, I would say. Everybody has been telling me for years, get on TikTok, it would do so good on TikTok. I do not want to be on TikTok. Like, for whatever reason, the idea of me being on TikTok just seems like the bane of my existence. And for whatever reason also, once I feel a way about something like, oh, I would never want to do that, there's nothing that I can do to convince myself to do it. I'm never going to be on TikTok. And I'm sure I could do that, but that's not what I want to do. I have a very good groove on Instagram. I have a very good groove on YouTube. So that's where I want to work. I have 2 platforms and that's it. So you don't have to be on everything if you don't want to. Do what works for you. You don't even have to use Instagram and YouTube. Do what works for you. Create those platforms and create those websites. In terms of scheduling websites, I used to recommend Get Timely, but now I recommend Acuity. And the reason I started recommending Acuity is because it's customizable. So you can, customize it or whatever, how I've customized my website, so you can customize it. And also, I believe it's $20. And it just has all the features, all the bells and whistles that you need to run a scheduling website if you're going to be booking sessions or offering services to people. If you're going to be selling stuff, I always recommend Big Cartel. It's $15 a month. It's very, very user-friendly. It's very simple to set up and use. I've used it since the beginning of time with my apothecary, and I love it. They have a lot of cool templates that you can choose from for the free. And yeah, I think it's a good option. Shopify is also something that you can use. Etsy is also something that you can use if you're going to be selling product. Etsy is really good if you're going to be selling digital product, or if you're going to be selling handmade stuff like jewelry, bath beads, bath salts, different things like that. Handmade goods, craft stuff, that's kind of, the vibe on Etsy. Crochet stuff, that's kind of the vibe there. And digital products will do good on Etsy. On Shopify, you can put anything that you want on Shopify. I believe you can put appointments on there as well. So Shopify could be, a one-stop shop even. So create your websites and your social media platforms. you want to make sure you get those names reserved. You want to make sure that you have a starting point. So create your social media platforms. The fourth thing, create a content list. This is a gem from my Fruitful You coaching course. And this is just also a system that I've created to help my students and content creators in general organize their content. So let's get into it, guys. Creating your content list. 4 different types of content you're going to focus on. Content to educate, content to sell, content to share your story, and lastly, content to build community. So if you're going to have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, use a separate page in your notebook for each platform, and then put 4 boxes on each page. So YouTube will have its own page, Instagram will have its own page, TikTok will have its own page, and you'll have 4 boxes: to sell, to educate, to build community, and to share your story. And basically, this will be how you organize your content. So, the content that you're doing, to make sure you're not doing too much of one thing, you have variety in there, and you'll be offering a lot of things to your audience. So really quick, let's get into this. To educate. It's beneficial for consumers and for engagement if you're educating people on what you're doing. If people are able to gain wisdom for what you're doing, they're more likely to want to support you. They're more likely to come back. People like to learn. Of course, you have to have content to sell because we're doing it to sell. So of course you want to have content to sell, but you don't want to sell too much. That's why I created these 4 categories, because you don't want everything to be buy. You also want a little bit of, some other helpful things that your consumers can find really, really beneficial. So to sell, of course, you want to share your story. One of the reasons why a lot of people are here is just because they like me and they like my energy and they like my story and they like what I stand for and what I represent. So getting people familiar with you is so important. So content to share your story, to share your journey, what inspires you and what even, makes you want to do what you're doing. And of course, content to build community. People love feeling like they belong, so whether you're hosting community events or whether you're doing like a journaling challenge or some type of challenge, or whether you're just doing even customer appreciation week, when you share discounts and stuff for, your customers as a whole, creating community, making people feel like they belong to something is a very important way to create that community and get people hooked on what you're doing. Of course, that's what we want to do. So that's going to be number 4 on the list. Create your content list. Also, there's no timeline to this. So take your time. It may take you a full week to do your content list for all your social media platforms. Take your time, figure out what's working, figure out what's trending, figure out what works for you and what you want to say, and organize it and get it together. Most business owners have a long list of content. Organize that stuff. I guarantee you it'll be easier for you to check it off and get into it. Number 5, observe your schedule and create a content plan. So after you have your content list, observe your schedule and think of a plan. So where do you have free time in your schedule? In the morning, in the middle of the day, in the evening, on the weekends? When do you have free time? And then start to think about what you need to do for your business. If you know that it takes you maybe an hour to film content, you need to find an hour in your week, and that's going to be your content day. If you know it takes you 30 minutes to, post on all your social medias, find 30 minutes in the week. However many times you need to post, find those blocks of 30 minutes, and that's going to be your time to post when you need to. So it's up to you to create a schedule. You are going to do with your time what you wish. We all have different, scheduled time allotted to us. Some people have more free time on some days. Some people don't have no free time. Some people only free time is when they're on the toilet, and even then they don't have no peace. Okay, so figure out what your free time is, make it make sense, and this is going to take some time as well. I would say take a week or 2 to observe your schedule and figure out, okay, I have time here, I have free time here, I have free time here. Make it make sense, but make it work for you. I am usually on my phone at night before I go to bed. So what I make sure I do on my phone at night, every night before I go to bed, I get all of my content ready for the next day. I use Canva, so everything is on my phone. So I literally go look at all of my Instagrams, then I'll go look at my Canvas because I have 5 Instagrams that I run, right? The book club, my personal page, the apothecary, Fruitful You Coaching Now, and Sacred Solidarity. So I am looking at all of these Instagrams like, this will be cute next, this will be cute next, this will be cute next. I go on my Canva, I make sure all of those posts are ready. I save everything to my phone. I go to sleep, I wake up in the morning, and whenever I want to post, everything's already saved, and I already know what it's going to look like. I already have a caption in my head, and I'm able to do it really conveniently instead of waiting until the morning at the last minute and getting overwhelmed and not doing it at all. That's what I used to do, and sometimes I would go weeks without posting on some of my platforms. But that will not happen again. I definitely made it a goal to just get my scheduling in control, because it's very, very easy to just lose touch and have everything going everywhere. Even with YouTube, sometimes I've taken breaks from YouTube or even from the podcast especially. I really, really try to make sure that I find those gaps in my schedule and make it work with, what I'm already stepping into. So step 6, okay? Step 6, this is the last thing we're gonna do before we get started. Get your mind right. Take a week to get your mind right, okay? This means take a week to make sure you got everything you need. Take a week to make sure you got your outfit, you got your ring light, you got your tripod. Take a week to make sure you got snacks in the fridge so you don't wake up hungry and irritated and you don't want to do nothing. Take a week to plan. Take a week to be intentional. Take a week to ask yourself, is there anything holding me back? Take a week to pray. Take a week to do whatever you need to do to get your mind right so you can prepare to start this off on a good foot. Okay? Because you're not just going to start it off and be running forever. You're going to start it off and you may stop a little bit or have to pause a little bit or slow down a little bit. So give yourself something to work with. Give yourself a chance to figure out how you're going to be navigating, what you need to work on, what you need to prepare for, what have you. If you need to get your sleep schedule together, make it happen. If you want to also get back into the gym or, get back into some movement throughout the day or whatever. If you want to join some Facebook groups and start talking in those Facebook groups to build community there, start making that happen. Start getting in those things. Look over your content one more time. Make sure that you have everything together. Okay? Take that week to get your mind right and prep. And step 7 is to begin. So step 7 is launch and begin posting your content. Now this is going to be for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, be consistent for 3 weeks. If you tell yourself I'm going to post on everything 4 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, now you make it up. So give yourself 3 weeks to get it together, be consistent, show up for every post, every discussion, whatever you want yourself to do, every upload, every photo, be consistent for 3 weeks. Be on yourself for 3 weeks. Do whatever that looks like for you. For some of us, it may just be posting and posting and posting, just trying to build up our engagement in the first, 3 weeks and show that we're consistent and talk about what we're doing. For some of us, like I mentioned, it may be going in those group discussions, on Facebook to maybe add people and try to, find community that way. For others, it may be just doing a lot of filming, making a lot of reels, making a lot of YouTube videos. We're all going to have different ways that we take our, steps into this. So give yourself time to figure out how you want to navigate, right? So launch, stay consistent for 3 weeks. That is step 7. All right. So after you've worked on being consistent with everything, keeping everything together, doing whatever you need to do, step 8 is going to be time for you to reflect and essentially take a week off. So with this week off, I would definitely recommend scheduling some content the first few days of the week so you're still active on your accounts. But take a week off to reflect. What worked? What didn't? What were you happy about? What were you unhappy about? Were you able to commit to the things that you wanted to commit to? Do you feel proud about the work that you've done? Do you or do you not? Are you feeling even better about it? Are you ready to go even harder? Do you want to add something else into your schedule now? Do you feel like you've gotten into a groove of things? Ask yourself how you're feeling and ask yourself what is coming up for you. Being in a space of holding yourself disciplined, of holding yourself accountable, of being really, really mindful of what you're doing and how you're doing and showing up for yourself, that could be difficult. If you have children, if you have another job or another 2 jobs, if you have, anybody that you have to take care of, if you're very active in other areas of your life already and now you've had to squeeze this in, you may have to really ask yourself, like, I'm putting in this work, but nobody's seeing this. It's not taking off. This took off, but this isn't. What's going on? So we are feeling all of these things in the beginning, of course. Now, some of us may be feeling great, but every now and then I feel like we get to a point where we're like, is this working? And I feel it typically happens in the beginning because sometimes we get that traction and then things can slow down. So it's important to just be able to connect with ourselves and know what we're doing and how we're navigating. So take a week to reflect, schedule those posts before you get into that week so you have some time to get into some things and just, give yourself some time to take a break. Give yourself some time to take a break, but be intentional on this break and let this teach you, like, okay, this is what I learned in the 3 weeks of doing this. This is what I need to continue doing moving forward. This is what I need to stop doing. Let this be your opportunity to really figure out what you're stepping into and how it's affecting you. Alrighty, step 9, we are almost done. Step 9 is create an action plan for the next 90 days. So I am a very big fan of a 90-day plan. If you ever want to set up a 90-day plan with me, you can book a business reboot. My business reboots are an hour-long consultations with me strictly about business, and we can do anything there. We can discuss ebook planning. We can discuss your websites. We could just talk about how you need to start your business. You could just get some ideas or some feedback. We could even work on content if you wanted to. We literally can get into anything in a business reboot. And also we can get into a 90-day plan as well. If you want to work on a plan to iron out what you want to work on for the next 90 days, we can get into it. As you guys know, I do one-on-one business coaching as well. So check down below in the description to get into all of that. But create an action plan, a 90-day plan. For some reason, 90 days is just a magic number, I think, because it gives you a time to implement something. It gives you a time to see how you're working. And it also gives you a time to create something new. And that's kind of my my path, I guess, or my what is it? My plan, my strategy, I guess. It's my strategy when it comes to change. Implement a change. Figure out how you feel about that change. Is it working for you? If it isn't, why not? And then make new change based on what you learned. I think that's the real way to go about change. When you just say, I'm going to change, and you don't give yourself a chance to just see, okay, is this even working? What have I learned about myself since I said I wanted to do this? Is this really giving me the benefit or the effect that I really wanted? You know, sometimes you can commit to a change and it's not really the change that you needed, or it can, wear off quickly. And you may be in a space where you're like, well, I thought this was going to solve a lot for me. So I think it's important to implement a change, give yourself time to reflect and be like, how is this making me feel? Is this really helping me? And then from there, create new change based on what you learned. So that's basically what we're doing right now with this 90-day plan. Create an action plan for the next 90 days. You've been doing you for 3 weeks now. You know what's working. You know what's not working. You know what you need to try a little bit more of. You know what you need to elevate. You know what you're ready to drop. You know what you want to start planning for. You should know by those 3 weeks, because remember, you already have a business idea or a business plan in your head. This is just about how to be actionable about those things. But you already want to be a business owner. You already want to be a brand owner. So after those 3 weeks, you should have even more clarity about what you need to do and how you need to move. So take that time after those 3 weeks and after your week of reflection to create a 90-day plan. Now, you can take some time for this if you want to. Just make sure you're being consistent with your content on your platform. If you want to continue to schedule posts for the week, then you can continue to do that. But take some time to figure out what you want in the next 90 days. Do you want to launch your website? Do you want to launch a new product? Do you want to host an event? Do you want to drop an ebook? Do you want to, do something different? Do you want to do a collab? Do you want to do some networking? Figure out what you want to bring in the next 90 days, and then make a plan. Block it off 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. Look at it 1 month at a time, or 30 days at a time if you want to start in the middle of the month, or however, and get into it. Spend some time to create about 4 to 5 goals that you can work on for each, month, each block of that 90 days. And I think, that will give you a great, great, great start. I think in the beginning of business, we need reflection. We need to be honest with ourselves about how we're feeling and if this is even something we want to do. We need to be flexible so we can allow ourselves to switch up and change. And we also need to set new goals for ourselves. Just getting started is just getting started. There's literally an endless amount of goals that you can step into. You can make your first $100, make your first $1,000, make your first $10,000, make your first $100,000. You can never stop growing. You'll never stop growing. So I think that this is a great plan to always use if you need to get back into your business, if you need to relaunch, if you need to just take a break, get into it. But yes, the last step, of course, is begin again. So begin again with your new motivation, with your new plans, and with your new ideas, and start the process over. But hopefully it takes more than 3 weeks for you to get to the point where you need to be like, how am I feeling about this? Because whether people admit it or not, you always reach a point in business where you're like, is this working? Do I need to switch this up? Is this enough? Especially now with today's economy and how things are shifting. A lot of people right now want to move out of the country. They want to move away from certain things. They want to maybe elevate their life in certain ways or establish certain things for their children in certain ways. And it's harder than ever to do that. So I think that, being self-employed offers a lot. It offers a lot. It really, really can offer a lot. Numerous things, because there's definitely a journey that you go on with yourself in this space as well. So yes, that is a tea about how to launch your business in 10 steps. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys want to work one-on-one with me for your businesses, for your content, for even a social media and website audit, I'm doing those too now, where I basically give you the tea on your social media platforms and your website and what you can do to change those things. Get into all of the new services down below at the link in the description. If you scroll all to the bottom, you will see the Fruitful You coaching section. And again, remember, Fruitful You group mentorship is coming back in September. The seats are going to be available in July. I am super excited about this. I think it's going to be great. We're doing it in 60 days. Instead of 90 days. So I think that we're going to be able to really see a lot of discipline and really see a lot of structure come out of what we're doing. I'm really, 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 really excited about it. So yes, thank you guys as always for being here. I appreciate you guys. I love y'all. Let me know how you feel about this down below in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys. Bless.